Welcome to the latest episode of the MFG Radio Network's Manufacturing Matters, where industry experts take deep dives into the latest technologies you need to consider to keep manufacturing moving. Hello, and welcome to today's roundtable discussion as we here at GIE Media's Manufacturing Group take a look into the medical, aerospace, and EV markets for 2023. I'm Jake Kaufman, an associate editor, and I will be joined by my colleague, senior editor Eric Brothers and editorial director Elizabeth Modick shortly to discuss what to expect this year and beyond in the manufacturing industry. But first, we'd like to take this time to thank our sponsors for helping us put on today's roundtable. Now, first is series sponsors Ishkar and Renishaw. Ishkar is the largest of 15 companies comprising of IMC, the International Metalworking Companies, and has been a leader for nearly 70 years in the development of a dynamic and comprehensive line of innovative precision carbide metalworking tools. They have developed industry-specific solutions to optimize productivity. They understand the unique requirements of each industry and continually improve and introduce new ideas for machining intelligently. Now, Renishaw is one of the world's leading engineering and scientific technology companies with expertise in precision measurement and healthcare. The company supplies products and services used in applications as diverse as jet engine and wind turbine manufacture, through dentistry and brain surgery. It also is a world leader in the field of additive manufacturing, where it designs and makes industrial machines that print parts from metal powder. We also like to take this time to thank today's sponsors, Aegis Software, also Kitamura Machinery, and SMW Autoblock. Now, Aegis was founded in 1997 and uniquely delivers a comprehensive and flexible end-to-end manufacturing execution systems, which is known as MES platform, and it gives manufacturers the speed, control, and visibility they require. Aegis has international sales and support offices in Germany, the UK, and China, and partners with more than 37 manufacturing equipment suppliers. Since its inception, Aegis has also been helping more than 2,200 factories across the military, aerospace, electronics, medical, and automotive industries drive rapid and continuous innovation with the highest quality while reducing operational costs. Now, Kitamura Machinery, for over 89 years, has creative, innovative machining centers that also meet the strictest demands of manufacturers worldwide. Now, by combining the best practices from decades of hands-on experience, extreme personal attention to detail, and the latest technology advances, Kitamura Machinery has created a line of horizontal, vertical, and 5-axis machining centers that provides customers with improved productivity through easy adaptability, reductions in defects, and accurate, reliable long-term performance. And SMW Autoblock is a work-holding company focused on achieving customers' goals and expectations with the highest quality products and services. SMW Autoblock combines stock standard products with a highly trained sales force and also an engineering team to consistently provide the ideal work-holding solutions to customers across a wide variety of industries. The organization strives to achieve a deeper understanding of customer needs to provide products and services geared towards specific customer applications, maintaining long-term mutually beneficial partnerships to enhance machine tools and drive modern manufacturing. So once again, thank you to our series sponsors and today's sponsors. We begin today's discussion in the medical manufacturing sector with our editorial director, Elizabeth Modick.
Thank you, Jake. Okay, let's jump right into the medical market trends for 2023. I'm going to start with a look at the current market and projected growth. According to a report from Precedence Research, the global medical devices market was valued at $550 billion in 2021 and is expected to reach $850 billion by 2030, showing a 5.5% compound annual growth rate during the forecast period. So, with knowing that, what are some of the drivers of this growth in medtech? Rapid integration of advanced technologies, such as medical devices using AI. There's also a shift in consumer demand, where patients are requesting more personalized devices and insights from those devices. Then there's addressing and working to mitigate the growing burden of chronic disease, which is costly to healthcare systems. Next, we see increased healthcare spending. The use of medical care rises as with income rises with income. So as people and nations become wealthier, it's a fertile market for new medical innovations to be embraced. And then there are the emerging global markets, which should grow from 81.9 billion in 2020 to 146.2 billion by 2025. That's a 12.3% CAGR. Next, we're going to talk about the different kinds of medical devices. Globally, there are roughly 2 million different types of medical devices on the world market, categorized into more than 7,000 generic device groups that fall under Class 1, Class 2, or Class 3. So, next slide, please. With so many devices on the market, what are the largest segments within the industry by revenue? According to Statista, the top 4 are in vitro diagnostics, cardiology, diagnostic imaging, and orthopedics. But it should be noted that digital health and telemedicine will continue to rise in use and importance, which is a direct correlation to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, talking about these 4, let's start with orthopedics. The global orthopedic implant market was valued at 47.8 billion in 2021 and is projected to reach 72.1 billion by 2030. This is at a compound annual growth rate of 4.67% during the forecast period. Now, more specifically for this segment, the North American orthopedic implant market was 26.78 billion in 2021 with a CAGR of 4.3% through 2030. By product, the reconstructive joint replacement segment has a market share of around 42%. The spinal implant product segment has a market share of around 18% in 2021, and the North American revenue share in 2021 was around 42.5%. Digging a little bit deeper into some specific orthopedic areas shows that the global knee replacement market size was 9.81 billion in 2021, is estimated to be around 10.36 billion for 2022, and will reach 16.1 billion by 2030, a 5.67% compound annual growth rate. Now, if we look at it by procedure, total knee arthroplasty segment accounted for 85% revenue share in 2021. Revision knee arthroplasty reached 9% revenue share in 2021, and North America captured 30% revenue share in 2021. Some of the key drivers in this knee replacement market include the increasing number of cases of osteoarthritis. This is in young and old alike, as a prevalence of osteoarthritis among people increased around 5% in recent years, helping this market record considerable revenue. Another driver is the increasing geriatric population, those baby boomers. Then there's also the recent developments in the field of surgical procedures, which includes the adoption of artificial intelligence into systems for greater surgical success. Using robotics and AI for knee replacement surgery improves procedure efficiency, minimizes chances of human error, and enables surgeons to carry out the process with more precision and accuracy. So next you'll see that the knee replacement market share by revenue and by region for 2021. And it continues to show North America holding a significant edge over the other regions. Now, if we move on to the global hip replacement market size, that was 6.3 billion in 2021, is projected to reach 6.69 billion for last year, 2022, and it should come in around 10.8 billion by 2030. That's a compound annual growth rate of 6.17%. So key takeaways from this segment: by procedure, the total hip replacement segment has contributed 32% revenue share. By material, the metal on polyethylene segment has a 35% revenue share, and North America holds the highest revenue share at 40.5%. Additionally, increased research and development in hip replacement surgery, along with increased efficiency and efficacy of the surgery, is driving market growth. Computer problem. Advanced developments in hip replacement, along with the integration of 3D printing technology developments, means that these procedures require less time to perform. Some of these examples include the 510(k) clearance of Zimmer Biomet's ROSA hip system, which is an integrated robotic system for total hip replacement, and Micro Orthopedics hip replacement technology. that offers a coated collared hip stem and cemented collared hip stem for improved surgeon placement and patient satisfaction. And next, you'll see the hip replacement market share by revenue and by region. And again, North America leads in revenue share. As orthopedics continue to advance, so do the materials and designs. As an example, many companies are moving to 3D printed orthopedic implants, such as Stryker's Monterey AL interbody system. But the metalworking industry doesn't need to worry, as the screws used to secure these implants, as well as many of the surgical instruments, remain manufactured from metals. Produced with its titanium ingrowth technology, Stryker's titanium is a 3D printed, highly porous titanium material designed for bone ingrowth and biological fixation, and it's built using Imagination, Stryker's proprietary approach to implant creation via AM. Along with the implant, Stryker delivers the instruments and a variety of screwdriver options for clear visualization and easy access to the surgical site. So, since we're talking about 3D printing, it is all around medtech. It is used to produce implants, dental parts, tools, and more. And here's a little insight into the growing market. The global 3D printing and healthcare market size was $1.45 billion in 2021. 2022 is estimated to come in at $1.7 billion, and the market is expected to reach $6.21 billion by 2030, a CAGR of 17.54% during the forecast period of 2022 to 2030. This rapidly increasing demand for personalized healthcare is delivered by customized medical devices that match the patient, a major growth factor for 3D printing. Looking at 2021 by numbers, by component type, the system segment generated 51% revenue share, and the materials segment is projected to have a compound annual growth rate of 21.3%. By technology, droplet deposition held 29% revenue share. By application, the external wearable devices segment accounted for 38.7% market share. Academic institution segment is expected to have a compound annual growth rate of 21.6%. And by region, in 2021, North America garnered the highest revenue share at 43% and should register growth of 19.5% through 2030. And again, here we see that the market share for 3D printing in healthcare, notably North America, has emerged as the largest market for this technology and should maintain its position during the forecast period. So another one of the top 4 medical technology segments is cardiology. And this has a market size of $20.79 billion by 2021 and should reach more than $46.72 billion by 2030, growing at 9.4% compound annual growth rate. Notable about this market is that a crucial element driving the interventional cardiology devices market expansion are technological improvements, with leading interventional cardiology device companies investing heavily in new technology and acquiring numerous startup companies to advance their approach. Some of these, as you will see, are the recently introduced cardiology devices that include Boston Scientific's Veriflex bare metal coronary stent system, Terumo Medical Corporation's HeartRail 3 coronary guiding catheters, and Cordis Corporation's Infinity line. So next of the 4 segments we're going to discuss are diagnostic imaging. This was 19.18% billion in 2021 and is expected to reach 34.04 billion by 2030, poised for a compound annual growth rate of 6.6%. By product type, the ultrasound segment accounted for around 30% of the market share, attributed to the increased adoption of this equipment due to its lower cost, instant and accurate results, safety, improved radiation-free imaging, and non-invasiveness. It's one of the most popular and extensively used diagnostic imaging devices globally, which has led the growth of this segment. Computed tomography, CT, is estimated to be the most opportunistic segment during the forecast period, as it witnessed strong growth in 2020 for diagnosis of COVID-19 in patients. High-precision CT scanners and its integration with technology, such as artificial intelligence, is anticipated to further drive growth. So if we're based on region again, North America accounted for more than 35% of the market share in 2020, the increased adoption rate of the advanced technologies in the healthcare industry, and the increased demand among the population for the advanced diagnostic imaging solutions has significantly boosted the growth in North America. Okay, so what are some other trends that we have in medical devices? With baby boomers comes acceleration for at-home care devices. Accessibility and product diversity is essential, along with personalization. Wearables specifically heavily saturate the market for healthcare. Along with wearables, new and innovative technology from artificial intelligence to virtual reality devices are gaining traction as medical professionals are taking steps to advance their methods and their treatments. And as digitalization expands, the medical device industry will have a greater focus on risk management, cybersecurity, and data privacy to protect its customers. So looking at what these trends will impact, we can start with home health. According to the World Population Prospects, the 2019 revision, by 2050, 1 in 6 people in the world will be over age 65, 16%. That's up 1 in 11 that it was in 2019, 9%. And then by 2050, 1 in 4 persons living in Europe and North America will be age 65 or over. Back in 2018, for the first time in history, persons aged 65 or above outnumbered children under 5 years of age globally. So the number of persons aged 80 years or over is projected to triple from 143 million in 2019 to 426 million in 2050. New and innovative features across wearable devices arise each year, leading to higher consumers' expectations, such as greater accessibility and ease in medical device products. Wearables, such as health trackers and remote patient monitoring devices, will be a must-have in healthcare delivery. According to Juniper Research, there's a projected annual spend of $20 billion on these devices just in 2023. Now, next, artificial intelligence and virtual reality devices specifically. These continue to gain traction as the market size for AI in healthcare, as I mentioned, is growing, and it's expected to reach $120 billion by 2028. Artificial intelligence devices can advance diagnostics, assist in robotic surgery, while VR, virtual reality devices, can train surgeons and treat depression. By 2025, the use of extended reality devices is expected to reach 5.1 billion. So let's jump over to healthcare contract manufacturing market. And globally, its size was valued at 260.19 billion in 2021 and is expected to reach 516.7 billion by 2030. That's expanding at a compound annual growth rate of 7.84% until 2030. This includes pharma and medtech. So now if we just look at the medtech contract manufacturing market segment, we'll see a compound annual growth rate of 11.9% from 2022 to 2030. The crucial driver for this growth in the medical device contract manufacturing area is that it delivers profitable and speedy manufacturing of products, reducing price and time for the OEMs. Now, if we move over and look at the global medical device outsourcing, its market size was valued at 102.3 billion in 2019 and is anticipated to reach 231 billion by 2027, registering a compound annual growth rate of 9.98%. And now the leader in this in 2020 was cardiology, with the highest share. These devices are increasingly being outsourced because of the enormous complexity of cardiac devices and the requirement for added technical abilities. And as mentioned earlier, among different application segments, cardiology is estimated to record the fastest growth in the coming years of 9.4%. Though the total medical device industry in the US is estimated to continue growing at a robust rate, the outsourced manufacturing market is anticipated to grow even faster. As medical device producers work to recover margins and time to market as supply chain issues resolve, outsourced manufacturing, contract manufacturing, will grow in step. Now, while this was just a quick look at some of the key segments in medtech, overall, by 2030, the global medical device market is expected to reach 850 billion, The global orthopedic implant market should reach 72.1 billion. The global knee implant market should be at 16.1 billion. The global hip implant market should reach 10.8 billion. The global 3D printing and healthcare area should reach 6.21 billion. And global healthcare contract manufacturing climbs to 516.7 billion, while global medical device outsourcing goes to 231 billion. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to the Medical Outlook. And should you have any questions, my contact information is shown here. Now, I would like to hand the webinar over to Eric Brothers, editor for GIE Media's manufacturing group, and he's going to offer us a look at the aerospace market.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was a very informative look at the medical device world. Aerospace markets for 2023. Well, we're already nearly halfway through the first quarter, and expectations for this year from the end of last year have shifted a bit. They're generally more optimistic that a recession may be pushed back and inflation has moderated from its record-setting pace of last summer. It's now about 6.4% versus about 9% last summer. Unemployment is at its lowest level in 50 years. Despite major tech sector layoffs and Boeing's announcement, it will trim about 2,000 white-collar jobs this year in finance and human resources through a combination of attrition and layoffs. But Boeing is still seeking 10,000 workers for manufacturing and product development. So while lower unemployment is good for the overall economy, it makes hiring manufacturing workers more difficult to find and more expensive in wages. On the other hand, an increase in the talent pool of people laid off from tech companies is good for aerospace companies looking for software-savvy employees that had been absorbed into the giant social media combines where cost was less of a concern because of rapid growth due to the pandemic. In the big picture, rising fuel costs make flying more expensive, but it also encourages airlines to buy new, more fuel-efficient jets. That's good for the airplane and airplane component manufacturers. The lingering effects of the global pandemic are receding, at least for now. U.S. air passenger traffic continued its recovery in 2022 when aircraft departures in the first 9 months were 90.4% of departures in the same months of 2019, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation Bureau of Statistics Annual Report 2022. Many people have witnessed year-end holiday travel delays and numerous flight cancellations due to bad weather, software, and staffing issues. Nevertheless, U.S. air travel is on track to surpass pre-pandemic levels this year. China eased travel restrictions, but suffered more COVID-19 infections before the Lunar New Year travel season. But demand for travel seems to be rebounding, and international air travel numbers are poised to recover, global economy depending. With a stabilizing economy and travel demand recovering, the demand for newer, more fuel-efficient aircraft should continue this year. Nowhere is that more poignant than the delivery of the final Boeing 747 freighter version, the last of 1,574 of all variants of 747s, basically because today's twin-engine, twin-aisle jets are far more fuel efficient. So let's look at some of the commercial aircraft deliveries for this year. Airbus delivered 661 commercial aircraft to 84 customers. That's an increase of 8% compared to 2021. It reported 820 new net orders. It had 768 net orders in 2019. At the end of 2022, Airbus's backlog stood at 7,239 aircraft, its highest number since 2019. In the single-aisle category, Airbus's smallest, the A220, won 127 firm gross new orders, while the extensive A320neo family won 888 gross new orders. In wide-body twin aisles, Airbus tallied 63 gross new orders, including 19 A330s and 44 A350s. Of these, 24 were for the A350 freighter. These numbers and others in this presentation appear in the 2023 forecast in the January-February issue of Aerospace Manufacturing Design, online by February 13th. For January 2023, the latest numbers available show Airbus made 20 deliveries to 15 customers and had 36 new orders. Boeing reports 774 commercial orders for 2022 after cancellations and conversions, including 561 orders for the 737 family and 213 orders for the company's twin-aisle airplanes. The company had delivered 480 planes for the year. 387, almost 81%, were at 737 single-aisle jets. During the fourth quarter of 2022, Boeing secured net orders for 376 aircraft, including an order from United Airlines for 100 single-aisle 737 MAX airplanes and 100 twin-aisle 787 Dreamliners. Commercial orders after cancellations and conversions from passenger to freighter, for example, include 561 orders for the 737 MAX, 213 orders for the wide bodies, that's 114 787s, 31 767s, and 68 777s. 78 freighters, including 45 orders for the 767-300 freighter and current 777 freighter, and more than 50 orders, including conversions, for the newly launched 777-8 freighter. Commercial deliveries include 13 P-8A Poseidon, a military derivative of the 737, and 44 new production freighters. As of the end of 2022, Boeing's commercial airplanes backlog is 4,578 jets, valued at $330 billion. Not to leave out the regional market, Embraer reports that through the third quarter of 2022, it delivered 27 commercial jets. That's 21 E175 and 6 of its new E195-E2 series. It also delivered 52 executive jets, 28 of them the Phenom 300 light jet, and 19 medium-sized freighter 500 and 600 series, the total being 79. Company guidance for the year was 60 to 70 commercial jets and 100 to 110 executive jets. But at the end of the third quarter 22, Embraer's commercial jet backlog stood at 297 E175, E190, E190-E2, and E195-E2 jetliners. Looking ahead, primarily for Airbus and Boeing, Aerodynamic Advisory forecasts 19% deliveries growth in 2023 and 10% in 2024. Our next slide, please. Build rate goals. Airbus is adjusting the speed of A320 family ramp up to a rate of 65 per month for 2023 and 2024, and maintains its objective of reaching the rate of 75 by the middle of the decade. Boeing is stabilizing its 737 program production rate at 31 per month, with plans to ramp production to approximately 50 per month by 2025 or 2026. The 787 program continues at a low production rate, with plans to ramp production to 5 per month in late 2023 and 10 per month by 2025 or 2026. As a point of reference, in 2017, Airbus planned to increase its aircraft production 60 per month by mid-2019, so it's slightly ahead. Boeing wanted to increase 787 Dreamliner production from 12 to 14 a month and increase the rate of 737 production from 52 per month in 2018, 57 per month in 2019, to maybe as many as 70 per month eventually. Next slide. All those aircraft need engines to fly. Our commercial aircraft engine market has, as you see here, by percentage, SkyQuest Technology Consulting at the end of 2022 forecasts the global aircraft engine market to grow at a compound annual growth rate of nearly 11% and generate about $105 billion by 2028. Pratt & Whitney reportedly has a 10,000 engine backlog. Pratt & Whitney, which is part of Raytheon Technologies, leads the market with a 35% share. CFM International, which is a joint venture between GE and Safran, holds a 34% share. General Electric by itself has a 14% share, and Rolls-Royce has a 12% share. Biggest bottleneck for the engines has been castings. Last fall, Raytheon officials warned delivery of some Pratt & Whitney large commercial engines would slip without specifying the previous timeline for deliveries. GE Aerospace said supply shortages have made it harder to deliver engines on time. On a brighter note, SkyQuest Technology predicts aftermarket sales of aircraft engines and related parts and services in the commercial aviation sector is expected to grow 4.3% annually. Demand for new aircraft is forecast to generate $2.7 trillion globally in aircraft engine aftermarket revenue through the next 20 years. Next slide. General aviation, business jets, and helos also had a bounce back in the last year. In its latest update, the General Aviation Manufacturers Association, GAMA, published the third quarter 2022 General Aviation Aircraft Shipment and Billing Report. Results for the first 9 months of 2022 compared to the same period in 2021 indicate increasing aircraft deliveries across all segments, accompanied by an increase in aircraft value. Compared to the same period in 2021, piston airplane deliveries increased 8.8% with 1,012 units. Turboprops increased 7.3% with 383 units, and business jet shipments increased 1.8% with 446 units. The value of airplane deliveries through the third quarter of 2022 was $14.1 billion, a 4.8% increase. Piston engine helicopter deliveries increased 3.8% with 137 units delivered, and turbine-powered helicopter deliveries increased 7.9% to 439 units. The total airplane billings were $14.1 billion for the year, up 4.8%. Total helicopter billings were $2.6 billion, up 5.3%. Defense. The fiscal 2023 National Defense Authorization Act, signed into law last December, allots $816.7 billion to the Defense Department. It's almost $858 billion in total when you include national security spending under the Department of Energy. The act authorizes $12.6 billion for inflation impacts on purchases. It also funds $2.5 billion for inflation impacts on Defense Department fuel purchases. It gives you some sense of concern. The budget also specifies $32 billion for aircraft purchases. Specifically, the Act funds 8 FA-18EF aircraft, 16 F-35C aircraft for the Navy, 15 F-35B jets, mostly for the U.S. Marine Corps, and 12 CH-53K helicopters. The legislation also authorizes 2 more V-22 Osprey aircraft, 7 E-2D Hawkeye aircraft, and 5 KC-130J tanker aircraft. The Act funds several unmanned aerial platforms, including the Triton and Stingray systems. The DoD is also investing in cutting-edge technologies. The National Defense Authorization Act authorizes an increase of $25 million for low-cost expendable aircraft technology. It authorizes an increase of $75 million for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, that's DARPA, to execute the recommendations of the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence. It also authorized an increase of $20 million for DARPA's utility-scale quantum computing activities. Tech spending is about $350 million for about 11 line items. Some highlights from the original equipment manufacturers. In its defense business for 2022, Boeing delivered 75 new and remanufactured AH-64 Apache helicopters, 28 new and renewed CH-47 Chinook helicopters, 12 F-15 and 14 FAA-18 fighter jets, 15 KC-46 tankers, and 4 MH-139A Gray Wolf test helicopters, its replacement for the venerable UH-1. The backlog at Boeing Defense, Space, and Security was $54 billion, of which 28% represents orders from customers outside the United States. For Lockheed Martin, it delivered 141 F-35 Lightning stealth fighter aircraft in 2022, pretty close to estimates. The worldwide F-35 fleet now numbers 894 airplanes with more than 1,870 pilots and 13,500 maintainers trained on the aircraft. Canada, Germany, and Switzerland became F-35 customers in 2022. The German Ministry of Defense is procuring 35 F-35A aircraft. The agreement includes a comprehensive package of engines, role-specific mission equipment, spare and replacement parts, technical and logistic support, training, and armament. The Royal Canadian Air Force will receive 88 F-35A multi-role stealth fighters, a sustainment solution tailored to Canada's sovereign requirements, and a comprehensive training program. Greece and the Czech Republic have requested the fighter, and the Finnish Air Force ordered 64 F-35A multi-role fighters at the very end of 2021. At the end of 2022, the F-35 Joint Program Office and Lockheed Martin finalized the contract for production and delivery of up to 398 F-35s for $30 billion. That includes the U.S., international partners, and foreign military sales aircraft. According to Aerodynamic Advisory, the impact the F-35 has on the broader non-aerospace economy is approximately $72 billion. The figure reflects money spent on internal manufacturing and final assembly activities, as well as direct spending with multiple tier suppliers and a broad range of sustainment activities. Defense is strong. However, reaching an agreement on raising the federal debt limit this summer carries the risk of shutting down the government and payment on government contracts, at least temporarily. Challenges and opportunities. Well, the first one is war. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine is entering its second year with major financial and material commitments from the West. War is devastating for the participants, but it has increased defense budgets across Europe and the need in funding to replace U.S. defense capabilities. Concerns about security in the Asia Pacific region have generated more defense spending in Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea. Supply chain. The supply chain woes of the past 2 years are fading. Almost 90% of executives in a recent Accenture survey expect supply chains to meet or exceed expectations through the third quarter of this year. Onshoring. Efforts of onshoring manufacturing to North America are gaining traction. As one example, in Ohio, Intel is investing $20 billion to build semiconductor chip factories. Intel pledged an additional $100 million toward partnerships with educational institutions to build a pipeline of talent and bolster research programs based mostly in the central part of the state. Intel also created a $1 billion fund to support early stage startups and established companies building disruptive technologies for its chip foundry ecosystem. Labor. To realize their plans for digital transformation, aerospace companies recognize the urgent need to recruit digital talent. In September 2022, Reuters reported in the US, aerospace employment was 8.4% below its pre-pandemic level. Boeing Chief Executive David Calhoun warned that labor will remain a bottleneck for the industry for years. Problem is most acutely felt in the highly labor-intensive, hard-to-automate castings industry. In a recent survey, nearly 3/4 of aerospace equipment makers cited castings as the largest source of shortages. Castings, as we pointed out already, are crucial to aero engine production. Trends? Trends emerging for aerospace markets this year include sustainability and decarbonization. Manufacturers, governments, airlines, public and private initiatives have set a goal of net zero carbon emissions by 2050 for aviation. Companies that can afford it are spending on alternative power sources, including electric flight and hydrogen fuel cells, and even hydrogen fueled aero engines. But the most promising carbon lowering prospect now is sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, made with renewable energy from non-fossil feedstocks. So far, a 50-50 blend with traditional petroleum-based jet fuel is all that's allowed. The engine makers and airframers are gearing up for 100% SAF operations. Automation. To alleviate labor shortage, there's a growing interest in automating processes to make the remaining skilled workers accomplish more. Robot costs are coming down, and robots are becoming the platform for other companies to develop apps, such as the growing list of specialized end-of-arm tooling. It's much like your mobile phone is a platform for thousands of applications made by third parties. Artificial intelligence. All the Industry 4.0 data machines collect from operations and put in the cloud can now benefit from machine analysis. Applications cover topics from predicting maintenance needs to inventory placement in factories to writing reports. Metal production, additive manufacturing, or AM. It's not just for prototyping anymore. 3D printing is moving toward manufactured production parts in various metals, not just in plastic. So far, AM is just used for non-critical parts in aircraft, but validation standards are under development. Hypersonics. The military is spending research money to perfect vehicles that can fly at 5 times the speed of sound. Talent recruitment in this specialty is priority. Cybersecurity. Blockchain was the buzzword a few years ago, but cybersecurity is a Defense Department priority, and businesses are spending big to protect their intellectual property and avoid attacks demanding ransom. Model change. In an Accenture survey from October 2022, 83% of executives say their company will undertake large-scale organizational or operating model change within the next 2 years, mostly because of changes brought about by responding to COVID-19. Market takeaways. Your takeaway from this presentation should be that the aerospace market continues to thrive. Air travel is on track to recover to pre-pandemic levels, maybe this year. There's a robust backlog of aircraft. Combined backlog for just Airbus and Boeing as of December 31st, 2022 was 11,817 aircraft. It's not as high as it has been in years past, but that still represents about a half decade or more of production. In round numbers, I estimate the number of that number of planes has a value of at least $1.7 trillion. Improving supply chain. With a few exceptions, 9 out of 10 manufacturers are confident of their supply chain, according to Accenture. That's up significantly from 2021. Long-term demand. The global demand for air travel is expected to grow to 9 billion by 2037. This will lead to a corresponding increase in the number of aircraft in service from 23,000 today to more than 41,000 by 2037. Jake, electric vehicles or EVs seem to be in the news continually these days. What's the EV market for 2023 look like?
Well, I will tell you guys right now as we take a look at the EV market. Now, it is one of the newest markets that we cover here at GIE Media, so there is always room for change. We start off with a report from last year by ERM for the Environmental Defense Fund, which looks at the current status and projected growth of the U.S. electric vehicle industry during the next 5 to 10 years. Some of the topics that you'll be able to see include the drivers of U.S. and global EV growth, the auto manufacturers' investments in the EV development and in building a robust charging network for the drivers. Also, some new EV model introductions, projected EV sales, projected battery pack costs, and advancements, and projected date of EV price parity with internal combustion engines. Now we start with also some medium and heavy duty vehicles, as the electric heavy duty vehicle like freight trucks and buses could also reach cost parity with diesel models this decade as soon as 2027. Also, manufacturers have invested almost $2 billion in medium and heavy duty assembly plants in the US that will support approximately 15,000 direct jobs. Now, also, 9 key factors that will drive EVs throughout the next 5 to 10 years are affordability, charging stations, effects of COVID, price parity, declining battery cost, fleet electrification, EV specific brand development, manufacturer commitments, and model availability. Now, car makers worldwide will spend more than $515 billion through 2030 developing new electrified passenger vehicle models. This would be a projected increase of more than $300 billion in spending from the first EV market report's projection back in May of 2019. Thus, more than a 200% increase in funding. 13 manufacturers have already announced plans to spend more than $75 billion to open new or renovated plants in the U.S. to build EVs across 6 different states. Now, these plants will directly employ between 24,000 or 30,000 workers and also contribute additional job creation for the suppliers and local businesses. Recently, GM announced that a $7 billion investment across its 4 Michigan manufacturing plants, which will significantly increase domestic battery cell and EV manufacturing capabilities. Nissan announced a $17.6 billion investment on strengthening EV manufacturing and battery development for the next 5 years. Ford will increase investments in electric vehicles to more than $50 billion through 2026. 74% of plug-in EVs driven in or on U.S. roads in 2020 were assembled domestically. These manufacturing plants investments highlight continued cultivation of a strong EV workforce and robust market. The domestic battery supply is also growing rapidly, with more than $14 billion announced to date across at least 9 states, which would support 15,000 employees. Now, also model availability. By 2025, approximately 109 battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid passenger vehicle models will be available to U.S. consumers. Now, the range of vehicle types available also increases to include sport utility vehicles, crossovers, and pickup trucks. The median EPA estimated range exceeded 230 miles for the 2021 EVs, and also the introduction of the first EV to achieve a range of more than 400 miles, as the Cadillac Lyriq and Lucid Motors Air also received attention as models tout 300 and also 517 miles per charge, according to the EPA rated range. Now, significant growth has also been seen in the medium and heavy duty space. In 2019, there were 20 models of Class 2B 8 zero emission trucks available to purchase in the United States. Now there are more than 400. CalSTART estimates that the number of ZETs and bus models available for the market will increase 26% from 2020 through 2022, with up to 544 total models. Now, in 2022, there were 3 EV models available for under $30,000 with a driving range of over 100 miles. Now, there will be even more models with a net cost of under $30,000 when current federal, state, and local incentives are factored in. Now, apart from these declining upfront purchase prices, many analyses have concluded that EVs will save consumers a substantial amount in avoided fuel costs. For instance, an environmental defense fund analysis concluded that the current average fuel cost would have an EV buyer saving more than $5,000 in avoided fuel costs over the life of their vehicles. Now, some EV sales projections. Major auto manufacturers are embracing electrification, as evidenced by an increased number and variety of electrified models offered, as well as commitments to brand electrification and sales targets. Now, for example, Volvo anticipates the BEVs will be more than half of its sales in 2025. The other half would be hybrid vehicles. And also, they would move exclusively to selling EVs by 2030. Honda is aiming for 2/3 of its sales to be electrified globally and all sales in Europe by 2025. At COP26, 6 manufacturers, including GM, Ford, Mercedes-Benz, BYD, Volvo, and JLR, publicly committed to achieve an entirely zero emissions light duty vehicle fleet by 2040. Ford said that its entire European passenger vehicle line would be ZEV capable, BEVs or PHEVs by mid-2026, and expects that 50% of its global vehicle volume will be fully electric by 2030, with a goal of producing 2 million vehicles per year in 2026. Also, GM has set a goal to have 1 million units of electric vehicles capacity in North America by mid-decade. Now, charging station investment is another thing that we'll look at, as in addition to expanding portfolios to include a greater range of electric and electrified models, manufacturers such as Nissan and Volvo also acquired stakes in companies that will be specializing in charging and battery technology, while Audi, Ford, Mercedes-Benz, and Volkswagen announced that they will invest billions of dollars into electrification strategies. Manufacturers are increasingly exploring how to expand the charging network for their drivers, demonstrated through GM's Ultimum Charge 360 plan, which aims to connect GM EV owners with over 60,000 plugs across the US and Canada, and also Rivian's Adventure Network, which aims to provide 3,500 fast chargers for Rivian drivers and 10,000 public level 2 chargers for all drivers. Now, also for EV specific brand development, many brands are developing platforms that will be exclusively catering to EVs, as GM positioned Cadillac as its lead EV brand with the BEV3 platform, and also Ford's Lincoln brand dedicating to an all-electric fleet by 2030. Establishing a unique EV dedicated brand means that automakers can send a clear signal that EVs will make up a larger share of their portfolio, and also reduced emissions will be a focus going forward. EV only brands like Rivian and Lucid Motors are gaining momentum, and Tesla has dominated the US EV sales to date. Now, on the medium and heavy duty side, Volvo Group announced that Volvo Energy, which was formerly a subsect of Volvo Trucks, would be responsible for matters related to electrification, such as life cycle battery management and also charging infrastructure. Now, over on fleet electrification of medium and heavy duty commercial vehicles is gaining traction, in part due to the fleet electrification targets by major companies. FedEx has said that its entire global parcel pickup and also delivery fleet will be zero emission EVs by 2040, and that Amazon ordered 100,000 vehicles from Rivian. These commitments send market signals that large entities are seeking electric alternatives to their fleets as components of their sustainability initiatives. Now, these companies are planning to convert delivery vans, commuter buses, transit buses, garbage trucks, and more. Coupled with private sector commitments, states are also signaling their interest in medium and heavy duty electrification through policies such as California's Advanced Clear Truck Regulation, as well as the multi state collaboration, which includes the 16 states and 18 jurisdictions, including Washington, D.C. and Quebec, as medium heavy duty zero emission vehicle memorandum of understanding. Now, looking at the declining battery costs, the cost of battery packs is falling drastically, which was at $1,000 per kilowatt hour in 2010. Now it is officially $132 per kilowatt hour in 2021. Most analysts say, or analysts will project that battery pack costs will continue to fall, reaching $100 per kilowatt hour between 2023 and 2025, and could get down to 61 or 72 kilowatt hour per dollar by 2030. And auto manufacturers have endorsed these projections. When it comes to price parity, many industry experts believe that passenger EVs will reach cost parity with internal combustion engines, which is based on the cost of ownership without considering any tax incentives when the battery pack prices fall below $100 per kilowatt hour, which results in lower upfront purchase prices, as well as having some industry experts believing that price parity for BEVs with smaller battery packs has already been realized. Most believe that widespread price parity will happen around 2025. In a recent study, Rouch Industries concluded that purchase price parity for medium and also HD or high heavy duty vehicles will be reached by 2027 for many vehicle segments. Now, looking at battery packs, advancements in the solid state batteries could also be revolutionary and also have significant potential to drive additional battery pack cost reductions in the near future. According to ID Tech X SSD report, the SSD market is expected to grow to $8 billion by 2031. Additionally, according to Bloomberg NEF, the solid state battery cells produced at scale could be manufactured at a 40% of the cost of current lithium ion batteries. Progress is dependent, though, on developing supply chains for solid electrolytes. Now, going over to the internal combustion engine compared to the EV engine, a typical car with an internal combustion engine features more than 1,400 parts on average. In comparison, an electric vehicle only has 200 components, which is an 86% reduction. Now, in terms of cutting tool manufacturing, this could represent a significant disruption. If electric vehicles take off, the ICE market would shrink significantly, leaving only a few cutting tool manufacturers profitable. Now, experts predict that the net market volume will be negative. New applications for electric vehicles will not be enough to fill the gap left by the reduced ICE demand. Regardless of whether the EV sales grow by 15% or 35% into 2030, the automotive manufacturing market will see an impact. ICE supply chain players are already forming partnerships and making acquisitions to advance their position in the electric vehicle market, specifically battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, in preparation of a shift in customer demand. Now, looking at machine tools, a key difference in the manufacturing of EVs compared to internal combustion engines is the number of components in the drivetrain. You no longer will need components such as the exhaust system, pistons, valves, crankshafts, engine blocks, exhaust headers, or more. This will result in less throughput of the component stock in production facilities, and also a potential for market contraction for automotive machine tool manufacturing. Now, component-specific machine tool manufacturers and suppliers are the most at risk with the shift, since they are heavily dependent on the automotive combustion engine market. The reduction in throughput volume of these products will simply not be large enough to support the current number of players in the machine tool market. Now, in 2017, PTR estimated that machine tool markets amounted to $98 billion globally. Approximately 40% of that is attributed to the automotive manufacturing sector, which is just over $39 billion. By 2030, the automotive manufacturing or machine tool market will have reached $51 billion, a compounded annual growth rate of 1.9% from the 2017 levels. PTR predicts that the automotive machine tools market will begin to contract by 2027. Meantime, manufacturers are presently employing machine tool building centers for heavy duty processing of big engines. If the transition to more environmentally friendly mobility is to be successful, machine tools will also continue to play a significant role in the automobile sector. Now, the shift to electric mobility will reward machine tool makers who adjust their approach in the face of new obstacles and create a place in developing markets. Machine tool production will also continue to increase owing to a growing global population and the resulting need for new items that are fundamental to human transportation. Now, Modig Sweden is a industry leader in the development of machine tools for the electrified automotive manufacturers. It has introduced EVM and HHB-based manufacturing centers that concentrate on improved sophisticated tooling. These have been designed specifically for battery trays and electric vehicle chassis. Now, this single setup twin spindle machinery also features 4 spindle options, significantly decreases typical cycle times, boosts effectiveness, eliminates manufacturing costs, and achieves maximum productivity. Now, also, GM has announced that it will be investing $7 billion, its largest investment in a manufacturing facility to date, to repurpose the Detroit Factory Zero Assembly Center as its flagship assembly plant for its journey to an electric future. Stellantis, also formerly known as Fiat Chrysler, will invest $229 million, just a fraction of the company's $33.887 billion commitment through 2025, in 3 plants in Kokomo, Indiana, to help expedite the transition to electric vehicles. Now, Ford, in partnership with FK Innovations, a South Korean energy company, announced that it will invest $11.4 billion into building 2 EV manufacturing campuses, which will include 3 EV battery manufacturing campuses and also a plant for building batteries for electric pickups. Now, 70% of plug-in EVs driven on U.S. roads in 2019 were assembled domestically. These manufacturing plant investments highlighted a continued cultivation of a strong EV workforce and robust market. The EV industry employed nearly 250,000 individuals across the U.S. in 2020, and also an improvement or an employment growth rate of 3.5% between 2019 and 2020. The biggest increase of any clean energy category, according to E2's Clean Jobs America Act, with jobs surpassing $273,000, and also included jobs associated with hybrid, natural gas, hydrogen, and fuel cell vehicles. Now, California, Michigan, and Texas are the top 3 states supplying these clean vehicle jobs in that order. Also, jobs contributed to 42 states and the District of Columbia, employing more clean energy than fossil fuel workers back in 2019. And that should just about wrap up today's discussion. However, once again, we would like to thank our series sponsors, Ishkar and Renishaw, and today's sponsors, IGUS Software and Kitamura Machinery, along with SMW Autoblock. Also, a reminder that the digital editions of today's medical developments in aerospace, manufacturing, and design will be available on our websites live for the January and February issues, with further outlooks for the industries in 2023.
Thank you, Jake. And I just want to jump in. Thank everyone for their attention today. So thank you from Eric Brothers, from Jake Kaufman. I'm Elizabeth Modig, and we appreciate you attending.
You can find more Manufacturing Matters plus the MFG Radio Network's other podcasts on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcast, or on our websites at todaysmedicaldevelopments.com Aerospace Manufacturing and Design.com, and evdesignandmanufacturing.com.